Okay, I think I'm live. Let's see. Hello? Hopefully everyone can hear me. Um, I'm excited to be here for all the Sting and Titans players out there. Hello, my name's Jessica Maday, um, formerly Jessica Schuweiler. I'm excited to do the question answer. We'll do some questions at the end, but I just kind of wanted to introduce myself, tell you a little bit about myself. So I grew up here in Plano. I started out playing a bunch of different sports. I was kind of the token boy in the family. For my dad of three girls, he had me at like the Byron Nelson golf tournament at age 5, and that kind of grew my love for golf. And I played basketball through middle school, and then even played softball. But soccer was definitely my love, and I played just kind of local here at Plano League, and then kind of got more serious around 5th grade. I started my club career at Solar, and then went to Texans, played the majority of my career there at Texans, and then finished off my senior year at Sting with Kenny. Kenny was at Texans too, and we followed him over for my senior year. And then I also played 3 years of high school soccer at Plano West, where we won the state championship my junior year. And then I went on to play college at Notre Dame, where I was a 3-time captain, and then we won a national championship my junior year. And I went to Notre Dame with 2 other girls from my club team, actually, Melissa Henderson and Courtney Barg. We're all so local. We all went to college together, which was really fun, but also a huge weather shock for the 3 of us going to South Bend, Indiana from Dallas, Fort Worth. My freshman year, one of the NCAA tournament games, we were undefeated. So we got home field advantage all the way through till the Final Four, and we got a huge snowstorm. They had to actually like plow the field, so we had about 4 feet all around the soccer field of snow pile on all sides. I guess that's why they did the recruiting trip in May. Um, but as memorable as Notre Dame was, it was an awesome experience. I met my husband there. Um, some of like the most memorable times in soccer were my youth soccer times. There's just no other time you get to play with the same kids year in, year out. In high school, seniors leave, freshmen come in, the team changes every year, same with college. And it was just some of the best times. I still keep in touch with so many of my friends from those teams. And one major thing about kind of that's different, I think, with my club experience is with each team, I had a big jump in competition level. So Solar, I went to Texans, and I remember being in awe of some of the players, Rachel Shipley, Courtney Barg, Melissa, like all these players there, feeling like I wasn't, good enough to be with these kids. And um, the same thing for college. I went to college. I remember calling my parents in the preseason being like, Mom, I don't know if I'm good enough to play with these kids. Carrie Hanks, Brittany Bach, Carrie Dew, some of these big names that I just felt like, man, I don't know if I'm good enough. And ironically enough, I went on to start every game in my Notre Dame career. But I think that mentality of just kind of never being like good enough and feeling like I need to get better was always something to prove. I mean, I knew what it was like to come off the bench when I played club, and I started out at Texans. I wasn't the best player on the team, so I learned to earn a spot, and I think that really helped me. And I'm still kind of in awe of some of the players that I played with and against. My freshman year at Notre Dame in the national championship, we lost to North Carolina, and at the time, Tobin Heath and Jessica McDonald and Megan Klingenberg were all on the team. And my junior year at Notre Dame, I was matched up against Kristen Press when she was at Stanford, when they were undefeated for the national championship. And I think it was just soccer's really shaped me to be who I am. And a major part of that was Kenny. I think he just had such a big impact on my life. I mean, we're still close. I'm close with his family. I love all of them. And, um, sometimes you're going to play for a coach that's tough on you. He was specifically really tough on me. And I think now as a parent looking back, I know that he was tough on me because he saw the potential in me. And, you know, there was a specific game that stands out to me, but we were playing a game here up at Toyota Stadium, and um, I think we were winning 2-0, and I never score goals, but I had both of the goals that game. And at the end of the game, he just got on to us, and specifically me. And I'm like, man, what did I do wrong? But now looking back, I know that he was getting on me because he knew I could take it, and that's gonna, as a team, we weren't playing well, and if he's yelling at me, somebody that contributed, then what does that say to everybody else? And hopefully they learn to step up. And so, between yourself and your mentality, and then the coaches, just having somebody there that's always got your back. And then my parents were obviously huge in the youth soccer craziness, all the practices and games and tournaments and away trips. I've got a son who's 7, and he's now getting involved in sports, and my daughter's only 1, so luckily we don't have 2 going through it. But the sacrifice that they made for me too was just, it's unbelievable. So I know that a lot of you guys are probably in the midst of it, and now during this quarantine time, I guess things have been able to pause a little bit, which maybe is nice. But yeah, I think that just a big part of kind of who I am was the players that I played with and the coaches that I had growing up. And I'm very excited to be on here. I don't know how I can see if there's a chat or anything like that, but I would love to answer some questions. Oh, I see now. Hey, Aaron. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I mean, any questions that you guys have about kind of me, I'm here to answer. I did bring some, I don't know what ages we have on here, or if anyone would even think this is cool, but I brought a couple things just because I never get to bring them out. But this is for our junior year when we won. They gave each of us a little case, which is kind of cool. It says 2010 national champions on it, your name. And then we played in the Big East at the time. I think Notre Dame's now in the ACC, but this was one of our, find the camera, one of our Big East tournament champion rings. So we got 2 of those. One's blue and one's like a green. And then I had to bring this one out just because it's fun. I probably need to clean it, but this was the national championship ring. So we got to design it, which was kind of cool. And then on the side, a number, the year, and then attack was kind of like our team theme. We were seeded number 4 in the tournament that year. And when we played Stanford was number 1. They were undefeated. And I think there was actually like a newspaper article that said Stanford loses national championship. They didn't even say like Notre Dame wins, which just I think made everybody on our team a little upset about it. But goes along with the theme of me kind of always having to prove myself and play with a little chip on my shoulder. But let's see. Elizabeth over here says, "What age did you go select?" I went select. Things have changed so much since I was playing. I played at Notre Dame, just so you know, for timeline. My freshman year, I was there 2008 to 2012. So I went select in 5th grade. That was my first year that I played select. And I know now they have like academy and stuff like that. We didn't really even have that when it was my age. So I was kind of just involved in a local league then. Nick, what advice do you have for the 9 and 10-year-olds about to go on their club journey at Sting and Titans? Man, 9 and 10, I would just say enjoy it, work hard because I think, a lot of times at practice, the coach is going to have to work on tactical things. I know Kenny was really, really good about that. I mean, I felt over prepared going to Notre Dame, learning about the tactical side of the game, where to be and strategies and stuff like that. But the individual part of the game, I mean, I wasn't the most skilled player, but that was a huge part of my game that I worked on, my individual skills, because, they can't spend too much time on that in practice. You're only getting to meet a few times a week. So I would just say definitely have fun first and foremost. Don't stress too much about it, but go out there and work on your game and get better and just try and work on something different each day. Um, Aaron, what advice would you give to young players? I know you started later than most. How did you catch up? Yeah, I did. I did start later than most, especially now. I think it would be different if I was growing up. I probably would have gotten involved in academy, but um, I would say the way I caught up was just playing with better players. Um, so when I went my first year with them at Texans, and I sat the bench probably that whole first year. I came off the bench, and then but I was playing with the best players in the area. So sometimes it's not about being the best player on the team. It's just surrounding yourself with better players. And you know, for instance, Melissa Henderson, best forward to come out of DFW, like if I'm playing defense, I'm going to try and go up against her every time because I'm going to get better playing against her, So I would just say the way I caught up was just being around better people than me. And, you know, the hard work that I put in a lot of extra time on my own. I mean, I was going to skills every single day in the summer to work on my game, even if I didn't want to. I remember there were times I didn't want to go, it was always, I don't know, 8 in the morning or something like that. But my parents would get me there, and we kind of had a core group of our team, our girls on our team that would go together. So it it made it fun. You were kind of like battling together, and some of the best stories I have are ones where, we're doing our 10th, 11th sprint and just exhausted, and um, we laugh about it now, We thought we were exhausted then, and now all of us have babies, so we really know what tired is now. But um, let's see. Addie from Cypress, Texas says hello and go Irish. Go Irish. Hi, Addie. How involved were your family in your soccer development? Um, so my family was a huge part of it. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to get to any of the events without them. I owe everything to my parents for sure. But my dad was like big into sports. He played college baseball and stuff, so he kind of understood like what it took to get better, and I think he saw the potential in me. And he was definitely out of between my mom and dad, he was harder on me for sure. Um, but again, I think going back to what I was talking about, Kenny, like they saw something in me. They saw that by challenging me, and the way I responded wasn't, it would be one thing if he was getting on me and I kind of shelled up, but it would almost just make me, it would fuel the fire more. So I think they just knew what made me tick, and they helped push me to be the player that I was for sure. And can you provide our young players with a moment or two where you maybe faced some adversity they had to overcome? How important is it as an elite athlete to handle or overcome adversity? Yeah, I mean, I would say I was really fortunate injury wise that I didn't have to experience anything major. I was really fortunate that way. But, um, you know, to be honest, I would say like a 3-year captain is, you would kind of say like, wow. But my sophomore year, that was really hard for me because you have upperclassmen that are looking at a sophomore that's a captain saying like, that they never say it to me, but I had to really try and be strategic with the way I chose to lead. And I think that I always tried to lead by example, just working hard and practice, or we would, have weight workouts and stuff like that. I was more of a quiet leader, I think, to start. And then, especially that sophomore year, that was hard on me, just trying to figure out a way to navigate to be a leader. And then, Randy Waldrum was our coach at Notre Dame, and he was an unbelievable coach, but he, I think, really encouraged me my junior year to be more vocal. And that wasn't necessarily like how I always wanted to be, but then, on the field, you have to communicate and you have to be loud. And so I think I kind of had to learn how to transition into being more of a vocal leader. So that would probably be one of the biggest things that I faced, just challenges leading. It's a difficult thing at times. Well, I'm sure there's other kids. I'll give a couple minutes here. Trying to make sure that I do this right. I've never been Facebook Live, so this is exciting. Let's see. One more thing here, I guess. This one's not, I mean, it's still pretty cool, but compared to the national championship ring, this is our state championship ring. Same kind of thing. Nickname on the side, year, you win, that sort of thing. It was kind of funny. So my junior year in high school, we won the state championship. My coach was pregnant at the time. And so when we went to Notre Dame, and we won obviously that year. So then when we went to Notre Dame, our assistant coach was pregnant my junior year. And so I remember looking at Courtney being like, oh, like Jeanette's pregnant. Like, this is destiny. I mean, we won together at Plano West and our coach is pregnant, and now we're going to win our junior year. And we did. So that was pretty awesome. Let's see. What was your favorite moment at Sting? Oh, man. Gosh, it's really hard to pinpoint one. I would say like a really cool, my career wasn't mostly spent there, but I would say a really, really cool thing about Sting is just the history of the program. I mean, being the oldest and, really the most decorated club in the country for women specifically. I know you have Titans too, but that was a really cool thing to be a part of. And I just think that what stands out to me maybe isn't one specific event, but just the collection of hotel stays. And, back then we'd burn CDs and listen to them on the way to games, carpooling as a team. And, I don't know if you guys still do that, but you get assigned like who's in whose car, and the manager would tell you. And it's, bonding with different people. And, I would also encourage, like, I think sometimes on teams, it's like you get your group. And what I've learned after being outside of it is just like being more inclusive of everybody, because even if somebody that's not playing every game, they might be going through something like really difficult. And if you're the best player on the team, go pick them up, put your arm around them, tell them they're doing a good job. And cause it's hard. You're figuring out life, Let's see, Stuart, one more for your son. What are some of the key things you'll look for him in a club environment? So my son, he told me he likes to watch soccer, not play it. So there's a little dagger in the heart, but my husband played hockey. So he's kind of doing that right now, but we're having him try all the sports too. But one thing that I'll definitely look, and we've kind of looked for in him specifically, I would say with hockey, is just the development of the player. When you're young, it's not always about winning like 9, 10, 11 I mean, even 12 at those ages, to me, it's like if you are improving each year with your coach and your team, that's what's important. It's really fun to win, but you have, you know, more years to spend, I think, focusing on that. I think we're going to definitely just be looking into the coaches and the environment that are focusing on our kid and really care about our kid. Hey, Tommy, my brother-in-law is asking, can you offer some advice for athletes who have to hang up the cleats and transition into real world corporate setting and how to leverage their athletic leadership and experience? So, that's a really good question. I would say that was a huge thing for me coming out of college, having soccer on my resume, especially a leadership role. Transitioning into the real world is tough because what you knew with this team environment, and you're thinking, oh, you're just going to be playing forever, just comes to an abrupt end. But I think finding the culture that you can work in and have it feel similar, like locker room camaraderie and um, you know everybody's working towards a common goal is definitely important. Finding a good fit, and then also just talking that up. I mean, even if you didn't play a lot, you went through adversity, right? So, coming into a work setting, you're going to know, oh, someone's getting on to you, or your boss is, telling you one thing and you're thinking another. I mean, there's teamwork involved. That's a big part of just life. Um, what advice would you give to graduating high school seniors as they prepare to go off to college? So, first of all, much love to all the seniors out there. I'm sure it's really difficult not being at school and finishing school, but preparing for college, I would, we got summer workout programs and stuff like that. And I guess specifically to playing sports in college, but just getting ready for the balance. I mean, you guys have been doing it, balancing school, social life, and soccer. It's really hard. And going into college, it's only going to be amplified because you're going to have a lot more social um, things that you want to be a part of. And it's challenging, and you're going to have to learn how to balance that. Freshman year, that fall is going to be really tough, especially for me going far away from home. It was a tough transition for me, for sure. I was fortunate to go with two of my friends, but I would just say, you know, take the workout seriously coming into preseason. You want to make a good impression on the upperclassmen, and just try and quietly go in there and prove yourself on the field and kind of let the play do the talking. Um, Billy, you had a bunch of coaches growing up. What coaching style traits were you most responsive to? Um, so yeah, I did have a lot of different coaches. I actually started out. Brad Flanagan doesn't coach anymore, but he was my first coach, and he kind of taught me to fall in love with the game. And then I transitioned into I had I had a bunch. I had Kumar's, I had Hassan, and I Kenny was the majority of my career, and I responded really well to him. He I think he does a really good job of just knowing like what his players need, and I responded to how he whether it was yelling or discussing, or because at the end of the day he could back it up, like tactically he knew what he was talking about. And so I think when I responded well to people who, regardless of how they approached it, could at least tell me that it was the right thing. And then Randy Weldrum was a phenomenal coach in college, at Notre Dame. He was the exact opposite, but again, intellectually, like, knew the game so well that um, by that time I think you're self-motivating, at that point in college, so you don't maybe need as much push as you do kind of in the early ages. My best position. So Renee's asked, what is my best position? I started out playing midfield and outside back in club, actually. And then at Notre Dame, they transitioned me into center back. So I played my whole career at Notre Dame at center back. My senior year, I played a little bit of defensive mid, but I felt like it was actually really beneficial for me to play a bunch of different positions, especially ending up where I did at center back. Having the attack mindset of like an outside back and a midfielder, I kind of felt like that helped me to defend because I knew what they were trying to do to me. So I appreciated and I felt like I knew the game better having played a lot of different positions. But center back was where I ended up, and I enjoyed that one, I think, the best. Let's see. Was there ever a point where you thought you were done with soccer? If so, what helped you keep going? Um, I think there really wasn't a point where I felt like I was done. I would get there would be times where I was like, man, I need a break, and I would take them. Uh, I think it helped a little bit that I didn't jump into serious club until later, maybe because I did never felt like got burnt out, but um I think what just helps keep you going is your friends and the team and the drive to win. I think you have to have it. If that's not in you, then you know maybe that is something that'd be easier to hang up. But there were definitely times. I mean, I remember. So my freshman year, we went undefeated and lost the national championship, and we had by far our best team all 4 years at Notre Dame that freshman year, and it was just devastating. And I remember coming back in January where you don't have any more games, the season's over, and we had a huge snowstorm, and it was 6 in the morning, and I'm walking across like the quad, and it's quietly snowing, and there's like all I can hear is like the crunch of the snow, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, how did I get here? That was probably a low moment for me where I was like, man, I this is going to be tough, because the season's so far away. It's hard to see how what you're doing is going to benefit you. But the people around me, my parents, just kind of look in the mirror every once in a while and do a little gut check. But I think the love for the game definitely just keeps you going. So, um, thank you guys for having me. It's been fun. It's always fun to talk about my soccer days. I miss them very much, but I'm also kind of relieved that, if I don't want to work out one day, I don't have to. So that's kind of nice. Um, I hope that you guys are all staying safe and healthy and um, enjoying your weekend. So have a great afternoon. Goodbye.